I was really scared to work with flies at first. They're so small. And I remember when I was first doing a dissection, I think I'd had like a Red Bull or something before, and my hands would like not stop shaking. And I just remember looking under the microscope and like I was inadvertently like killing that fly like so bad.
Hello, and welcome back to the Voice for You podcast, where we empower the leaders of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Jesh Vana. Today, I'm joined by a young leader in our community. She is an advocate for healthcare equity and fosters a deep passion for neuroscience. She has conducted PhD-level research in labs at MIT and the University of Montana, studying mRNA and protein engineering. For her research, she has been recognized at multiple and various national research conferences, such as ISEF, RSI, and NJSHS. She has also served on the Montana HOSA State Board and is a national representative for YUSA. Her work has definitely not gone unnoticed, as she was named a 2025 Coca-Cola Scholar. Leading her way through healthcare equity and changing for a better tomorrow, she is Miss Faith Yu. How are you doing today, Faith?
Oh, I'm doing so good. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Definitely. Obviously, like I mentioned, there's so much, so much accomplishment. So obviously, I have to give my praise for it beforehand, just to let the
Thank you.
interviewers know what the work you have done is before, So definitely. But how has your day been
It's
today?
been pretty good. I've been just chilling this summer. I haven't been doing much. I know some people are locking in and like internships and whatnot, but I just chose to spend, I don't know, this last summer visiting family in Korea. Right now I'm home just visiting friends, having fun, and, getting a lot of like college emails and the technicalities set up. But it's been a pretty good day, I'd say.
Definitely. And obviously, we are towards the end of the summer. So obviously, you are about to leave for college, like we did mention off camera, in less than a week. So how are those,
Yeah, I think like last week I was super scared about college. I felt I wasn't ready. Class enrollment hadn't started yet. I wasn't sure where I was going to be, what was going to happen. But I think just talking to my friends who'd already gone through the process or now just done with their first year was just so helpful. And I think it's really great to just have like older friends to get advice from and stuff. So I called a bunch of them and they were all just so helpful in saying like, everyone's so nice. It's going to be a blast. Everyone remembers like their first week of freshman year, it seems. So I think I've been able to channel a lot of that fear into excitement, and yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, obviously, like you did mention, especially going into senior year and then sending yourself off to college, you can't do that by yourself, like you did mention. So having those senior friends and people that have done it before you, tell you what to do and what not to do, and keep the nerves down. Definitely. And obviously, this is a big change in pace and in general. Do you have peers that have gone to the university which were related to?
What was that?
Do you have like any friends that are committed to related?
Yes, I do. I have a couple friends from Coke actually who are going to Duke with me this year. And then
Yes.
through programs like Senate Youth, I have friends who are there right now and just finished their first year. So I've definitely been reaching out to them, asking is 3 boxes of clothes too many? Asking them what the culture is like, the club scene and whatnot. So it's just good to know you have like a hub there. So yeah.
Definitely. Obviously, I'll get more into that, more into the interview. But to begin, tell me a little bit about yourself, your hobbies, your passions, and who you are as a person.
Yeah. So as you introduced, my name's Faith. I grew up in Missoula, Montana. And I'd say some of my hobbies, aside from, everything you listed, I really enjoy photography. Montana has really beautiful landscapes. So I just like doing that on the side, going for hikes. And it's something I definitely want to continue in college. I also love watching movies with my friends, reading and like baking. It's something I don't have too much time for, but it's something I really, really enjoy. And then always just like chatting with friends, journaling. I think I enjoy things across a broad spectrum, I would say.
valid. That's valid. Obviously, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't do photography, but I'm very big into videography and filmmaking. And obviously, films are my life too, which actually leads perfectly into my next question. I like to start off my interviews with more of an icebreaker question, just to like lighten the mood a little bit before everything. So, if obviously, like you said, you are big into movies and you do enjoy watching with your friends. So, if you could choose any cinematic universe to live in, what would it be and why?
Cinematic universe? Oh my gosh, that made me forget like every single movie I've ever watched. Let's see.
There are a lot of good ones.
There's so many. I know like the Marvel universe is big. I have like I wouldn't I really like Spider-Man. I know, it's overall part of like the Marvel universe, but
Yes.
just like in New York and like flying around, basically,
Oh, that would be so tough. That
and
would be
like
so
living a
tough.
double life. Like I think that would be so sick. And I just love the different scenes they show of like the New York City like landscape. So yeah, I think I'd pick like Spider-Man, like specifically his part of the Marvel universe.
Okay, which one of the Spider-Man was your favorite?
I know this is like basic, but like I really like Tom Holland's, but I also really
Okay,
like
that's valid. That's
I
valid.
like the animated, like the what is it, Miles?
Miles Morales?
Miles Morales, yeah.
100%.
I love it.
Nah, if we bring in Miles Morales, and that's probably the best of the three. I'm not even best of the four. I'm not even gonna lie, but I'm a Tom Holland guy myself. That's when I got introduced to Marvel. So obviously,
Yeah,
you go with the one that you got introduced to. Then right, it's like
for
that's
sure,
a
for
little
sure.
that's risky. It's because
Yeah,
the one you get introduced with, like, you have more to talk about, and it's not like
yeah,
definitely. But
yeah,
like the animated one, in my opinion, is the best. The animation style is
yeah.
crazy.
It is. It's just so pretty, and like
100%.
the soundtrack is really good. It's perfect.
I have a bunch of those songs. Like even like seventh grade me was bumping Sunflower so much, and
Yeah.
now I got, like like I have so much Silk and Cologne. I still bump that like daily. So
Yeah, wait, like Metro Boomin, he did the whole soundtrack, didn't he?
God, Metro Boomin
It's
is
so
so good.
good. Yeah.
So one, arguably the best producer right now. Right
I
now, all
agree.
time.
Yeah.
All time is it's a little debatable. There are a few names that come into mind, but I don't think it's best if we mention them. But Kanye West. But anyways, but Metro Boomin is really, really good. You hear the Metro Boomin title, it's about to be a masterpiece. Let's just
Yes,
say that.
for sure.
And he cooked very hard
He
with
did.
the Spider-Man album. And I swear to God, like the three movies, like I know the next one, they announced the next one to be like next year, I believe, like 2 years
Yeah.
ago. Now it's pushed another 2 years ahead.
Yeah.
So it's so annoying.
I know the cliffhanger on the last one was crazy, like the very last reveal.
Yeah, definitely. But those are classics. I could probably watch that first one over and over again.
But yeah.
Like it's really good. It is really good. And I heard that they're like planning on bringing him to like the MCU too, which
Okay.
like to life. That's what I've heard. With obviously the many actors we have nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised just for a cash grab too. I wouldn't even be surprised if Sony
Yeah.
does that, because I know Sony, they've tried doing like the Spider-Man villain and everything except the actual Spider-Man, but it's gone terrible for all of them, I believe. Like you've probably heard of like Madam Web.
Gosh, yeah, I left that movie actually.
Yeah. Yeah, Madam Web, Kraven the Hunter. Those are the only ones I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Spider-Man's probably your favorite MCU character?
Yes, I would say so.
Valid,
Or Iron
valid.
Man. Iron Man or Spider-Man, yeah.
Okay. If you were just curious, this is mine.
Okay. I see.
Yeah. My brother got it for me. But for anyone that doesn't know, that's Black Panther. But T'Challa. I don't know. I've always been. That's the first ever movie I watched with my family. The first only MCU movie. Me, my family, my mom, my dad, and the children have watched both first part and second part. So I don't know. It just brings more memories home. And
Yeah.
like, what the heck?
No, it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie.
Do you have any other What would you say are your favorite movies then?
My favorite movies, I really like, if I had to go back to the basics and like go back to childhood, I really liked Ratatouille. I remember liking Zootopia, and I remember liking Tangled a lot. So I think those are just three classics that I, watch on the plane.
Definitely.
Good ones to rely on, yeah.
Zootopia 2, the trailer released like 2 days ago, I believe.
I know, with like a snake or something. I'm
Yeah, with the
excited.
snake. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, I don't think anything can beat the first Zootopia because the first Zootopia is a classic. I watched that in
Yeah.
theaters too. But I don't know, there was just like a phase in my life where like for like 6 months straight, me and my dad and my brother would just be at the theaters every weekend because my dad would get like $2 tickets. I don't know.
That's a steal.
It was a steal, you know. When you get a steal, you take advantage of it.
Yes.
You know, when it comes to like that kind of stuff, Lion King's obviously a top priority. That's probably, I'll say the order, but that's probably gonna be my backpack. You know, like the senior year backpacks. That's probably gonna be my
Yeah.
see Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove, yeah.
They're classics. Disney's just classic like that.
Disney cooks, yeah.
They 100%. Maybe not as of recent, but you know, back then they cooked hard. They cooked super hard.
I agree.
But you know, coming back to, you know, topic of college, like we didn't mention earlier, you are committed to Duke University. So, which is ironic. I already told you this off camera, but the viewers probably have heard it multiple times. That is my dream school. You know, that's the only sticker. This is my school laptop, by the way. Like, the school puts this on. This is the only sticker I have put on just because. But, you know, what about Duke first made you want to apply there and then commit at the very end?
Yeah. So I initially applied to Duke kind of as like it was like what is it? I just had a moment where I like remembered back in, I don't even remember the last time Duke like won March Madness, but I remember my like math teacher at that time had his whole class fill out these like brackets for who they thought would win. Like I didn't know what March Madness was, I was like 8 or something. But I remember just thinking Duke, like it's a catchy name, like you're not going to remember what like University of Tennessee Knoxville, but like, Duke kind of just sticks in your head. So I remember just putting Duke all the way, and I got it correct that year. So that's what I wrote
Lucky.
like my Duke essay about. But I just remember like thinking back, like sitting in my room thinking, and I was like, I should try applying to Duke. And I know they have, really great programs. But if I'm being honest, I kind of applied without knowing too much about the school. I didn't even know that there was like a Trinity versus like the engineering school Pratt. But once I was applying, I was like, oh, I guess there's some different things about the school. So I really did just apply on a whim. But what really led me to pick it is, one, I received like a full ride scholarship, the Robertson. And that was, a big deal. It was between like, Duke and Harvard for me, but having undergrad free as a pre-med,
big giants, what the heck?
Yeah, that was the obvious choice financially, but I also just love the community. I know a lot of prestigious schools kind of have they can have a toxic culture, but talking to a lot of my friends there, they just say it's so positive. The Duke pride is crazy, and everyone's just so supportive of each other. And I think that's the environment that I want to thrive in the next 4 years. So it was really, I think, the people that drew me to Duke.
Definitely. Duke, it's one of the top schools in the nation, but it's not like a toxic vibe to it. It's more collaborative. And it's not that, full on study. Duke basketball goes so hard. Like, what?
Yeah, it's a work hard, play hard school for sure.
Exactly. Obviously I have my I feel like whenever anyone talks about Duke, I have a story, like a big story like yours behind mine tue. It's way too long.
You'll have to tell me later. I want to know.
Yes, definitely. But I've been repping Duke since 5th or 6th grade. So, hopefully, and then Robertson too on top of that is crazy. It's 25, 30 students?
Yeah, per cohort, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Was there any extra you had to apply with for Robertson?
Yeah, it's a whole separate application, actually.
Okay.
You should totally apply for it.
Yeah, no, Definitely.
It's awesome. It's a long process, I would say, but so worth it. You have to write a bunch of these essays, and the portal, I remember. So it's like UNC and Duke. You like
Yes.
pick either one or both for what you want to be considered for. And then you have a bunch of essays, but once you click next, you can't go back from what I remember. So it's really just like testing who you are as a person. And then at the end, there's video essays that I think you have like 1 or 2 chances to record. So
Sure.
it's just giving your raw response, which I think it was an interesting challenge. Like no other school had done that for me when I was applying. So from there, you get asked to interview if you make it, and it's like a group interview. So it's like a bunch of kids from across the country. I was randomly put with a bunch of Texas kids, but they ask a bunch of questions. Like the first summer that Robertson's had is community summer, where you live with a quarter of your cohort and do work wherever they send you. I guess that's kind of what we talked about in our group interview. And then you move on to have, I think, 3 more interviews if you make it. And then they let you know in March, I think. But it's a long, but I'd say like it's a genuine process. Like they just want to see who you are. Like I did it last minute, but I was forced to be myself, and it ended up working out. So I think it's a great program.
Okay. Well, obviously, I'm planning on applying for that. That's those questions. But obviously, for the audience, it's personal for me too. Because full ride is, especially for an hospital like that, is definitely something anyone should look into. In order to get those kind of opportunities to go to Duke as a Robertson Scholar, you need to have some crazy extracurriculars, which you do have by far crazy, such as you have done research with MIT and the University of Montana, with the focus being on, is it mRNA or is this mRNA?
It's microRNA.
Okay, so there's supposed to be a dash. Okay, microRNA and protein engineering.
Yes.
So could you go more into depth on what that research entails?
Yeah. So at the University of Montana, I did research with microRNA, specifically microRNA 1000, 1008. But what I was looking at was like Drosophila or fruit flies, and just how those microRNAs might play a role in regulating feeding behavior. And then, obviously like obesity is a huge issue in the States. So that's like the overall application of that research, I'd say. And then for protein engineering, I got paired with like a mentor for RSI. I'd expressed interest in neuroscience. So it was like a biochemistry kind of project where we engineered different proteins, introduced different mutations, and then tested in different assays to try to find specificity in neurotransmitters. So I guess that's all just to say, like, we're trying to improve how fMRI works and how specific it is in what we're seeing in an image. So those are like the 2 major projects that I worked on, I'd say.
Okay, those seem like super interesting to have. Do you have any stories, obviously you're dealing with like fruit flies, and do you have any stories from in the lab that you would like to say?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was really scared to work with flies at first. They're so small. And I remember when I was first doing a dissection, I think I'd had like a Red Bull or something before, and my hands would like not stop shaking. And I just remember looking under the microscope, and like I was inadvertently like killing that fly like so bad. And I like felt so bad about it, but like I just couldn't control the shaking of my hands. And that's when I learned like you can't have caffeine before a dissection. I remember like to knock out and like, I guess to put the flies to sleep, you put on like a CO2 pad. I just remember one time mine didn't work and the flies just started like going all around the lab. And that was just another disaster. I just think flies are like, they're like easy to work with, but like they're so small that it's hard to control them. But I think those are 2 big learning moments for me.
Exactly. Obviously now you are going to neuroscience, so you're obviously going to be doing more dissections, not on flies, but bigger things. So at least you learned beforehand not to have those Red Bulls.
Yes.
When you were doing it on flies.
Right.
And I'm assuming the MIT research was done online?
It was done on campus. I was doing wet lab work.
Okay.
RSI, it's in person. I know a lot of people had computational projects, but I'm actually really bad at coding. So I was in the lab more, and I was working closely with a postdoc. And I remember just a few times like catching him like passed out at his desk and like he'd email me back at like 4 a.m. And I was just like, wow, this research life is tough. And like that made me realize maybe I don't want to do like a PhD, but it was really cool to like work with him and learn from him.
Definitely, definitely. So, obviously you have done, both work in neuroscience, and you're also planning to go for neuroscience and government dual major, I believe. So, how, seeing him slumped over, what made you, what was that alteration like from doing just straight up research to now doing, something more in the government?
Yeah, so I think that definitely came a little bit later in high school. So I did HOSA, like you mentioned, and during one of like our advocacy days, I remember learning that 52 of Montana's 56 counties were medically underserved, which is a lot. And it's not just an issue in Montana, it's an issue like across America. And our healthcare system is just really bad. Like we consistently put the most money into it, but we're always ranked at the bottom when we're compared amongst countries that are, like similar to us, like European countries.
Yes.
So it just made me realize that there's so many flaws in the system. It's so expensive. It's not accessible. There's a lot of uncertainty, I think, with how much the government like shifts around. So that just made me want to have a bigger voice in that field. And I definitely am interested in pursuing politics with like a background in more STEM and healthcare to bring like a different perspective later on.
Definitely, definitely. That's exactly what I've been thinking, as of right now. Going into, I was thinking about doing public health with a double major and rather than like some sort of policy, go on the same path with you. So why not, majors in like public health or something more, based instead, but instead choosing neuroscience and government.
Yeah. So I think public health is great. It's very important. But I personally am thinking like neuroscience and public policy just because I want to understand more of like the deep science behind the brain. I think it's such a growing field.
Okay.
There's so much we don't know about the brain. And then with that like very scientific knowledge, I'd also have a more broad understanding of policy, I think. And then I think eventually those would be able to like meld into like global health or public health later on. So I don't
Yes.
know. I think I'm just trying to keep my horizons broad.
That's completely valid. That was also because I've been thinking of doing the exact same thing, but I don't know what I want to put for like my major for all these colleges.
Yeah.
Keeping the horizons like that, it's probably a go-to move for me too. Definitely, definitely. But going back to the research, like you mentioned, with your research, you were named a national. You were named for so many stuff, like a lot of stuff, including a national champion for NJSHS. I don't know why I couldn't throw another word, but um, a finalist for ISA, the International Science and Engineering Fair, which is crazy. But just going to ISA itself is crazy. Being a finalist is crazier, and a top 5 oral presentation for an ISA, which you did about. So with all of these achievements, with arguably the best research conferences and programs one can attend, how has this affected your confidence and drive to do music?
Can you repeat the last part again? It was a little bit muted.
It's a little wordy. It's a little wordy. That's my bad. No, writing questions out can be a little hard at times. But with all these achievements, with these crazy research conferences, how do you believe that has affected your confidence and your drive for research?
I think it's just very like affirming, and it just validates like your hard work and it just pushes you to keep going. But at the same time, I feel like you still have like a little bit of imposter syndrome no matter like the level of achievement you have, just because all the kids who do these projects are insane, Like I remember just sitting back and watching some of my friends' research, and everyone's topic is so niche. Like you really can't know someone else's project fully. So I don't know. I think it's like inspiring to see what my peers are doing. A lot of younger students are starting to really like pop off in research. Like there's like freshmen killing it, and I'm just like so impressed. But I think it's very inspiring and just gives you more hope for the future that there are so many like scientists who are willing and able to like face a lot of modern problems. But I think it's just like gonna prepare like young researchers for college. So I know a lot of professors love to see research on like a resume and are just more willing to take people on. So it's just good to prepare, I think.
Definitely. Obviously, research to get into anything nowadays, having that experience beforehand, whether it's in school or internships, is very good. And I know a lot of kids have been taking advantage of it, especially with how much access there is with the internet and cold emailing and stuff like that. It's not easy to reach out to professors and do work with them too. Like you have yourself. Did you cold email from the University of Montana?
For the University of Montana, yeah, I reached out to like one professor, and I'm so glad she responded. Dr.
Okay.
Suttel. I just like expressed interest in her lab and just asked if I could. I knew that she had worked with high schoolers in the past, which is why I reached out. So I'd say that's definitely a tip. Just getting ins with other people, like if you know a senior who's worked with X professor, say like, oh, I know this person and they recommended you, or, just try to get in
Yeah.
somewhere. And then that research just builds and you have someone to write you a letter later on. And yeah, I think it's just great to build connections early.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, cold emailing, that is one big topic that comes up a lot, just like networking and cold emailing, even if you don't know them per se. Like, take me, for example. If I didn't network to all of y'all, we would not be sitting here having this conversation, right? Like, just getting out of that comfort zone and, reaching out and networking is definitely something that a lot of people don't want to do. And from the cold emailing perspective, too, like yourself, like you said, cold emailing, and then you get the opportunity to build like a door. So, out of the three, which one do you feel like you enjoyed the most? Obviously, you probably have been some of them, but
That's a tough question. Which one I enjoyed? I think RSI I enjoyed the most just because I was there for so long. It was like end of June to early August of
okay,
last year. And you just get to know like the 99 other kids in RSI so well. The counselors are great. They're all super young. My counselor was like a year older than me. And I remember like staying in her dorm for like Stanford admit days. But you just get so close, you bond. And then yeah, I don't know. It was just a really good experience. I remember being super stressed about my presentations just because like for like the final top 10 presentations, there was like the vice president or like some big research guy from like Regeneron, some like MIT math professor grilling me on like statistics and my analysis.
what's
And
that?
I don't know, the judges were just like not what I expected. Like they were like too qualified for me. So I just remember being very intimidated.
Definitely. I mean, they're there to just like help you in the
Yeah.
very end. So, just take everything with a grain of salt and, move on. But obviously, even if he grilled you for the top 10, you made it to the top 5. So, bro, you did something right. You did do something right, for sure. For sure. And obviously, I know RSI was on campus. ISEF is a week long, I believe.
About a week
Yes.
long.
Yes. I had a friend of mine that actually qualified for ISEF. Those are like crazy. What is NJ? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a little more underground. It's like National Junior Science and Humanities Symposium.
Okay.
It's held by like the Department of Defense. So there's like obviously a lot of money in the DoD. So that was actually like the biggest like scholarship source, I think, for me, aside from like Coke. But what it is, it's just like they have a bunch of regional competitions. Like I'm in Intermountain, which is like Idaho, Utah, Montana, like all those states.
Yes.
And then there's one in every region. They pick like 2 oral and then like 3 poster presentations to go to nationals, and it's always in like Virginia Beach or like New Mexico, which is really random. But they just send a bunch of kids there, and you present to like scientists in like the DoD, different military people, and it's a pretty fun time. I'd say a little bit of military, like, I don't want to say propaganda, but like they promote the military a lot. They're like, oh, you can do like this research for like the Navy or whatever. There are definitely like solid opportunities for students, but like, they all have like a little bit of a military undertone, but it's still a fun time. They give you a lot of free military swag.
I mean, you probably have that all decked out too, somewhere in your house.
Somewhere, yeah.
Definitely. And obviously, like the Department of Defense, they're obviously going to push you to joining the military. So, and obviously you were a national champion. Which what did you present for NJ?
Yeah, NJSHS, that's a mouthful. For that one, I presented my microRNA research about like the feeding behavior. And then I did ISEF when I was a sophomore and then this year as a senior. Senior year, I really lost so much motivation. I just reused my RSI project. And then sophomore year, I did my project about like the gut-brain axis. So still working with like Drosophila, but like a slightly different project.
Okay, have you ever done research, on that and it's the
Oh, like just like on my own, completely independent research. I mean, I haven't done like scientific research on my own. I think it's a lot easier to do, I don't know, like case studies or just like analyze data on your own, but I haven't ever conducted like my own project at home. Like I've done like, taking like DNA out of a strawberry for like science class, but like that's the extent.
Oh
Like I
shoot,
wasn't doing anything crazy. Like I don't have any of those materials at home, but
definitely.
I don't know. I have so much respect for the kids who do though. Like the kids who just like build a car at home randomly or like
No, that's crazy.
I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
where are you getting this?
Probably
Yeah.
like there's junkyards around, car
Yeah.
mechanics and all that too. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I didn't know you could take. I didn't know strawberries had DNA. I probably should have known that, but I did not know that.
Wait, yeah, I don't even remember how I did it, but like you like crush it up. There's like you like to put rubbing alcohol and you get this like strand that like comes out of it, this like clumpy white strand.
Shoot,
I had to do it for some like online bio class, I think.
that low-key sounds cool.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like you can get that like published somewhere. It's like, oh, here's strawberry DNA. Just write about something and boom, you're published in some student
Yeah.
journal or something like that too.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities out there these days. It's crazy.
It is, and it's a blessing too, because back then there wasn't that many opportunities for all that, and now you do get these opportunities to publish and write. It's the people that take advantage of that kind of stuff is what leads to the best of the best and the passion. So
I agree.
definitely. But not only do you have that research side to you, but you also have that leadership. As you served as state president for Montana HOSA for 2 years in a row. So,
Yes.
and I believe, are you still in your second year? You finished your second year, I believe.
I finished my second year, yes.
Okay. So how were those 2 years?
Well, they were definitely a learning experience. I had completely different teams, like my different
Yes.
vice presidents, first and second year. The first year, our advisor was new. We were all new. It was a huge learning curve. We also had a smaller officer team. It was like 3 girls, 1 boy. And then
That is really
yeah, and then our second year, I think it was still 4, but it was 2 girls, 2 boys. We just had it like down more to a science where we knew like, oh, these are the deadlines we have to meet. This is what we're going to do. My advisor gave me more like independence and like leading and planning meetings. But I don't know, I just really have liked being there for 2 years to watch the organization grow. So yeah, I just think in whatever you do, it's good to have like consistency and longevity over just like a breadth of activities, which actually like the Coke initial application is not really good at that. It's just like asking you to give so much of
yes.
everything you've
Oh
done.
my
But like,
goodness.
I don't know. I think this is just like tying back to the Coke application. But like in the latter rounds, they definitely are looking for like how deep you've gone into your activities. So I think it's just worthwhile to stick with what you love and what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I served as a state officer for Tennessee and that I'm the current executive vice president. So I definitely understand, planning a meeting. The poster is from right here. That's actually from our state officer training from like 2 months ago. So yeah, there was a complete fun time. All the CTSOs there, host officers. I'm really tight with all the Tennessee State
Really?
yes, from this year. I think, yeah, it's pretty much all. There's like, I think 2 or 3 new, not 2 or 3 new, 2 or 3 returning, because they have it. So like for us, it's like the HOSA. It's what's it called?
Like
Like a
president-elect?
president. Yes, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. I never understood that. I genuinely don't. But it's the CTSO life is definitely something, and it's been a blast for the past couple of months. Obviously, you have done it twice, so you know how it works. But obviously, and a lot of like when I got elected for my term, I had a lot of people coming to me and say, by the end of this, you are going to be like this with your state officer teams. Oh, you have 2 state officer teams that I'm assuming you're like this. So how is your bond with you and your 2 state officer teams?
Yeah, so for the first team, two of them were like a year older than us, so they went off to college. I still, talk to them time to time, but I'm really close with one of my vice presidents. She's like my best friend, went to the same high school and everything. And then for like the second team, I'd say we were very close. Like we went to like leadership academies and just had a great time spending time with each other. Definitely planning on like staying in touch with all of them. I know like whenever we end up at like the same place, we're always like, oh, we need to meet up, we need to get coffee. So it's always just about finding like the random like pockets of time where we have like a random overlap. But it's really good to just have like friends all over the country that, if I'm randomly in like Baltimore or something, I can hit up like Charlie and say, hey, we should get a coffee. So just having those connections it's great.
Definitely, definitely. And you're never alone in the city too, because you have a peer of yours from wherever, to just like chill out and get a coffee right there.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. But obviously it's with your, like you did mention, you got two different teams with 3 new people per team. So what would you say was the biggest difference between
The biggest difference, I'd say for the first team, we weren't as close just because a lot of things weren't made mandatory that first year. So there were like some people who didn't come to some trainings. Only like my friend Juliet and I went to like Washington Leadership Academy. So that just caused a little bit more disconnect, I think. But when you're like put in a space together for a long time, often, then you're bound to get close. So I think that's what happened with my second team a little bit more. And we were just able to communicate and complete things a lot more efficiently. And I guess just like not read each other's minds necessarily, but just like get on the same page quicker.
Definitely, definitely. And obviously, with the 2 different teams, and as the president, you've was their president twice. It wasn't like oh, I'm a VP, then you went to president. You were the president for both years. So what were some stuff that you inflicted, or maybe not inflicted? Inflicted is a really tough word, but that's applied. What is some stuff that you say you had applied to something different?
I'd say like a skill that's very important to apply in like any situation is like listening. I think that's one of my favorite parts of leadership, just hearing what other people have to say. I think, they always say like what 2 minds are greater than one. And then when you have like 4, that's obviously better. So everyone has a very different background in where they come from in Montana. Like some people come from super small schools. Some people come from like, schools with like 2,000 people. So I don't know, just getting everyone's input was really important. And I think the second year I was able to like almost step back a little bit more and let the vice presidents kind of talk more of the issues out, start their own initiatives. We had a couple people like start their own projects in their own like cities. So that was really cool to watch. So I think you can learn a lot just from sitting back and watching and learning from your peers.
Definitely. That's one thing a lot of people have told to me, if you haven't picked up, I know you probably have, but I'm the yapper. I talk a lot. And, people, and that's what a lot of people do say. A good leader is someone that sits back and listens to what others have to say, give them. So definitely.
Yeah, yapping's important too. Yapping gets you so many places.
It does. Like I said, the networking, if you don't know, if you're not a D1 yapper, then the networking's not going to happen. You can't be quiet.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can't be quiet, but you can't talk too much. You gotta, it's like the Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. You gotta, not too hot, not too cold, but just right.
Yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah, but along with being a state officer for Montana HOSA, you also serve as a national representative for the YUSA, or the YMCA USA. So with such passion for neuroscience and the research aspect, you have all of these research, like you did mention later on that you decided to maybe not focus on research so much. So where did you get that realization that you wanted to, put some power into government as well?
Yeah. Well, I think everything's rooted in policy. You can't have healthcare, you can't have research without policy, without the government. They provide so much backing, so much support. And I think this year we've really seen that with how much funding is getting cut from different universities like Duke, Harvard, Columbia, etc. the NIH, a bunch of these huge names. But I think even before that, I just realized it's more of a systemic issue because, like I mentioned when I was learning about like the healthcare disparities, that's not like a scientific issue, that's a policy thing that can only be changed at like that large of a scale. And then what drew me to like the YMCA is, I used to just think of it as like a gym and swim, right? Like you drop your kids off for like summer camp or go to the treadmill, But the YMCA just does a lot at the policy level, actually. They do a lot of advocacy. And, I think a lot of the work they do is related to preventative health, like staying healthy, eating well, and all of that. So just like that wellness aspect of the organization spoke to me. And I was just able to find a lot of cool opportunities. And they really value a youth voice. So
Yes.
I think that's what really led me to that.
Definitely. No, having that youth voice, that is the whole point. That is the main goal with the podcast. So, that youth voice is, in my opinion, very, very important. And we do make a lot of we are still a part of the demographic. So we do make a lot of the decisions and all that. So as a national representative, what do you believe, what were some tasks that you were?
Yeah. So on like the Youth Advisory Council, we have different like subcommittees. What I'm doing right now with my group is we're trying to get a survey out to different like local YMCAs to understand how they're running their youth councils, and then just try to make that more of a widespread thing so that youth voices are represented everywhere, not just in like the big YMCAs. So I don't know, I really like that project that we're doing, just because I know my YMCA doesn't have one, a lot of Montana's don't. So just getting that out there and making sure everyone has a voice.
Definitely. There are, like you did mention, there are local areas like small rural towns. Obviously, in Montana, like you did mention, there are areas that are super small, and there's areas that's super big. That's common for a lot of things. So having that equal voice for everybody is, that's in my opinion a necessity for an equal, because we do live in a democracy per se. So that is what we need for sure.
Yes.
But what made you want to run for being a national representative instead of staying on like the state or local level?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, like our local YMCA doesn't have like a council or anything. And then I had a friend, again, it's all about those connections. I had a friend from like the DC area who was on it last year, and he told me about it. And his name's Ezekiel. He goes to like Holy Cross. And it just sounded like a really cool idea. And, I thought, I think Montana should be represented at like the national level. Just because I knew, like obviously DC's very populated. There were bigger states being represented, California. So just to bring more of that rural perspective, I wanted to be at like the national level to talk about it and to, again, everyone deserves a voice. So I just decided to apply. And after like some interviews, essays, I was selected, so it was really great. Yes, I am. Our term ends in like February, but I'm thinking of reapplying for it. It's been pretty fun, so yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming that the Y has it so you don't have to be a high school member, you can be a college member to apply as well.
Yes, it's like
That's
ages
interesting.
16 to 22 or something, and then there was one member who phased out this year because he's going into law school, but he's sitting more of an advisory position. So they just really like to keep everyone involved, which I love to see.
I know, like there's schools in like more Nashville that do the Y and YIG and all
Yeah.
that. My school doesn't have which is unfortunate because that sounds super fun, like super cool, and I never. When like the boys and girls state stuff that came out,
Yeah.
I never did it. I thought it was a scam, I'll be honest. The website looked a little too sketchy for my liking,
Yeah.
but it really did look sketchy. But having that YIG and that sense to get into government, it gives you hand-on-hand access. And obviously you are planning to go into healthcare equity in working on law with the healthcare side. So do you plan on implementing any of those with your term as national representative?
I mean, yeah, I think long term, I definitely want to be looking at different policies that the Y could institute for health equity. But I think right now they're looking more at like youth leadership and that sort of aspect. But definitely in the long term, I know as a youth advocate on Capitol Hill, I was able to talk more about like those policies with my congressmen. So yeah, I think it's really just about incorporating what you're passionate about into everything you do.
Definitely. And obviously with like, Washington Leadership Academy with HOSA, you do get that experience to talk with congressmen. Plus, I assume that during there's probably like you'll have a day to go to Montana Capitol Hill, I assume, and talk to legislators then too. So those are good segue points to talk about CTE funding, the Perkins Act, and stuff like that. So,
For sure.
and those are like key points that we need in today's society as well too, because CTE is a booming business in my opinion.
I agree.
But not only do you have the Y to represent your government side, but you also were named a delegate for the United States Senate Youth Program, which I know is a 2-month program, which you get to go to DC. Is it 2 months? I don't know.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's my bad.
Okay,
But,
okay.
2 weeks to go to DC and, be a part of this program. So how was that experience?
Yeah, so for Senate Youth, we had like Washington Week, which is like where we go to DC and like spend time and get to meet all the delegates. I'd say, well, I didn't really know what I was getting into when I went, but you just get to talk to a bunch of important people in the government. I went when President Biden was still in office, and we were able to watch the State of the Union address in the White House. And he came in after and like talked to us. And his like wife came and talked to us, like Dr. Jill Biden, his granddaughter. It was really wild, but I was able to just meet so many great people. I think that's a program you should definitely apply to. Everyone should apply to. It's just such a strong network that like we all just want to lift each other up and help each other. So if someone's starting an initiative, we're all going to talk about it. We're all going to sign up, refer people. I think it's similar to like the Coke Scholar community, but a little smaller, a little more like tight knit just because of how long we're together. But yeah, I found out about it. It was a great time. Just a really cool experience. If I had to sum it up, it's a cool experience.
Definitely. Obviously, I remember Moritz, he told me the exact same story about the Joe Biden situation in the State of the Union. I assume because both of y'all are this year's Coca-Cola Scholar, both of y'all are Coca-Cola Scholars. I was assuming that that was about to be my next question about your interaction with Joe Biden, the president himself. So how were your feelings throughout that whole interaction?
Yeah, I just remember being so tired. It was like 1 a.m. I still had to write like my own keynote speech for like the very end. But we were just like sitting there talking, taking pictures in the White House. And then he came and he talked to us. He spoke very quietly. There were people who were like sneaking pictures because it was like technically not allowed or something. But it was really fun, and I love Moritz. I'm so glad you brought him up. We have a good time whenever we hang out, and I don't know, there's just so many like cross-program ties, like Coke Senate Youth. There were a bunch of kids who did Senate Youth this year who were Coke Scholars this year as well. But I know Trump bailed on them, so I'm glad I went the year where the president came.
Definitely. But like you did mention, you were a keynote speaker for the U.S. What was your speech on?
What was my speech on?
Yes.
I just really recapped our week in DC about how like we become friends. I just remember being so intimidated by my cohort before going. Like I like looked them up on Instagram or like found their LinkedIns, and it was like they've all spoken at the United Nations somehow. They've all like done some crazy initiative. They've all like cured cancer and coded like a billion different apps. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? So I was just really scared. But when I met them, they were all so cool, so down to earth, and so fun to talk to. So I just talked about what we learned and how it gives me like hope for the future that we have like leaders like this.
Having those leaders at a big stage like that, that is the next leaders of tomorrow in our government. So, being chill and balanced, that's how you get it done nowadays. But with all of this, you also have like you did mention earlier, you enjoy baking. So what is your go-to dish that you make?
Go to. I tried to make cornbread actually, but The inside came out completely raw. I know cornbread is what, like, it's pretty popular in Tennessee, right? It's like a southern food.
I've never had
I
it. I
You've
think I've had
never
like
had
one.
cornbread? I think cornbread's good, but I just butchered it. So my go-to is definitely like chocolate chip cookies. I don't even need like the fancy like browned butter. Like that just takes time. Like I need cookies now. So I won't like chill the dough or anything, but like chocolate chip cookies are just like this good nostalgic treat, I think. So
100%.
even if
100.
you're just like baking up Toll House, like I love that cookie dough, you know?
Yes. No. 100%. Chocolate chip cookies. That's something everyone has tried, or if you haven't, you must try, because it is a delight. Especially home
Hmm.
cookies, it is a delight
I
for
agree.
sure. I wish I can't cook for the life of me. Like I usually, my brother's like 5 years younger. He's going to seventh grade. I usually tell him to cook something for me whenever because he knows how to cook.
Wow.
I'm too lazy. I'll be
Wait,
so
that's
honest.
real. Wait, that's another plug for Duke. Duke has great dining hall food. You'll be set if you come to Duke.
Yes, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. I need good food. I need good community. I just need Duke University at this point. I'll be so real. I've
You'll get
been
in.
I've been praying for so long.
I'll pray for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully I'll be joining you next year. Hopefully Robertson Scholar too. That's still so sick.
Yes.
Like
Wait,
cool,
genuinely,
right?
like, let me know if you need any help on the application or anything.
Definitely. And speaking of Robertson, I know that with the Robertson Scholarship, it is, a Duke and UNC mix. You spend some time on the other campus too, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when
So,
you apply, yes.
wait, no, you go ahead. Finish your question.
I'll be honest, I don't know what I was gonna say afterwards. I completely blank now, but
Oh, you're good. So it's a very unique experience. Duke has like, I think like 3 full ride scholarships. 2 of them are like just from Duke itself. So you're automatically considered for like the Angie or B and the university scholarship, I think. And that's just, they look through everyone's applications and the people who like stand out a lot, they contact them to like apply separately. And then it's a very quick turnaround process. I think my friends like found out within a week for those. So you always have that as well, that you're just automatically applying to. But Robertson is super unique in that it's like half Duke scholars, half UNC scholars. So half of my cohort is going to UNC in the fall, and then we have 1 semester at the other campus. So I'll be at UNC my sophomore spring. You just have to take like 4 classes at the other school, I think. And a lot of people have told me to take like physics at UNC instead of Duke just because it's easier. So I think it's honestly a pretty good experience just to experience. I keep saying experience, but like just to go to like a public school, a different vibe, I guess.
yes.
And you just get like the best of both worlds. Like UNC is like the quintessential American college, and then Duke has like the gothic, beautiful architecture, and it's more like forested. I don't know. I just think you learn more, get to know more people, and
Yes.
study different things.
Definitely. And then obviously, the Duke and UNC rivalry is massive. Like, it goes deep. Like
Yes.
it's super deep. So do you feel like that's gonna affect in any way when you go to UNC a little bit?
I don't know. I honestly, maybe I'll just my ties are to Duke, but I know the UNC Duke game is so big that like people are
Yes.
tenting to get inside for 8 weeks in like the
8
winter
weeks, yeah.
cold. And even to tent, you have to take an exam before you're allowed to tent.
Really?
And yes, and
No.
they're like the most random questions, like what was Cooper Flagg's sophomore year girlfriend's prom dress? Or like those random questions that like you would never know. Pass, then you can tent. And then yeah, it's an intense process.
You just gotta know your Duke basketball. Basketball goes hard. Like it goes hard down there for sure.
It does, yeah.
Every single year, like you mentioned with March Madness earlier, every single year I have Duke winning, and every single year they lose in the ugliest fashion possible, and it makes me
I
cry
know.
all the time.
Final
It's so
Four.
bad. Yeah,
So
we made-
devastating.
Yo, I got so mad. It's always Duke and UTK in the same bracket. I believe I have those
Yeah.
2 always making it to the very end, because obviously University of Tennessee Knoxville's like right here for us, so that's my second go-to. But I always have Duke winning it, and they like Zion, RJ, that was good, and then Cooper Flag and his team this year, like Cooper Flag, Maluach,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we obviously like used to have Jared McCain, the TikTok
Yes.
dancer.
Yes. Yes. I love Jared McCain.
Oh
I
yes.
love Jared. I love Jared McCain. That was, I think we got bounced in like this around the Sweet 16-ish that year.
Mm,
Sadly, I think. I just want Duke to win a chip. I just
I
want him to
know.
win the Netties so bad.
At least 1 year while I'm there, I want them to win.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I'm hoping to at this point. Like maybe like in the next 4 years if possible, so I can have some.
For sure.
But with all these accomplishments, you were named a 2025 Coca-Cola Scholar. So how was, the application and how was that experience going down to the world of Coke?
Yeah. So the application process, like I mentioned, it was like pretty long. I filled out the first part while I was at HOSA WLA, like the night before it was due or something. And it was just a lot. I remember asking my friend who had gotten it the year prior, like, is this good? Like, does this look fine? And he was like, yeah, I'm sure you'll do fine. I found out I was like a semi-finalist when I was seeing senior pictures. And then I had to fill out like the finalist application. Essays I think are actually pretty fun. You can reuse some Common App stuff, I would say, but also it's just like very unique to you.
Yes.
And then you have like your interviews. The interviewers are just very kind. It's like 10 minutes, I think. It was like the shortest interview of my life. And you're compared to kids in your own region. So from there, you are told if you're one of the 150, I don't even remember when, but it actually coincided with Connection Weekend for the Robertson. So I was at Robertson for 2 days, and then I was at Coke for like 1 day, which is really sad to like miss out on everything. But it was still super fun to visit like the world of Coca-Cola and meet people, even if it was just for a little bit. But I don't know, Atlanta was super hot. But the world, they like have so much for Coke. Like I didn't know Coke owned like Powerade or Fairlife, but they just do everything, I guess. So
Coke
it was
everything.
yeah, I mean, you see them everywhere, but it was just a really great experience.
Definitely. You never know what Coke owns anymore, especially when it comes to like the fountain drink industry.
Yeah.
I was about the drinking industry, but then that would just tie to alcohol, and I don't think that's what the vibe I'm trying to go for is.
Yeah,
but
the beverages. Yeah.
That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. The beverage industry. They own everything.
Yeah, they
anything.
really
And I heard
do.
I was like, the number one rule there was you can't have anything that isn't the Coke beverage.
That's true. They were like, leave your Gatorade water bottles at home. Like, you can't have that. Like, we couldn't be seen drinking any water that wasn't Dasani because they own Dasani as well. Yeah.
No.
So I just drank so much Dasani at the time I was there.
Crap, I didn't know they were that serious.
Yeah,
it's
like
water.
I know, but like they wouldn't let you. So yeah, that was funny actually. But
hey, if you got the company ties, you got the company ties.
Exactly.
Definitely. And you gotta play with them company ties too. 100%. But at the end of all of this, why do you believe you were named a Coca-Cola Scholar?
I think I just have a unique perspective and story to share, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for scholars who are genuine about what they do and have a real why in what they've done instead of just, like doing something to check it off of the list. They want to hear your story about everything you've done. That's actually a tip I have for you. In like any interviews, they might ask you to say a time that you learned something or whatever in any of the activities you list. So for everything you write.
Okay.
But
I'll write them down.
Yeah, they really want you to care about what you've done, and they just want to find good people, I think. So I think because I really focused on what I actually liked in high school, I was able to find success in a lot of those, I guess, like end of the road achievement, like blocks, like Coke or Robertson or whatnot. It was just about having your own story build up throughout and then just delivering and conveying that message well.
Definitely. And, having that unique perspective, that's one thing that I believe they did well with the Coke Scholars this year. Not choosing people with actual hobbies and interests. Like you said, not only do you have, you have so many sides to you. You have your research side, you have your government side, you have the movie side, the baking side, so many different stuff. And, that's what makes a genuine person at the end of the day,
For sure.
because a person is not coded to just do one thing. We have many interests, many things that we like to do, many things we're passionate about, and that's what makes human. So I feel like Coke did a really distinguishing the people who actually are human versus.
Yeah, I love my cohort. They're all so sweet.
Definitely. And obviously all of y'all are I know all of y'all are super duper tight. I remember I met one of the Coke Scholars in person the other day. He takes a picture, puts it in y'all's group chat. 30 minutes later, 10 people respond. He shows me the text. I'm like, that was really quick too.
Yes,
So
it's always active, always active.
definitely. And I know, because I know there are a good amount of Coke Scholars going to Duke. I talked to Rose, she's going, and then there's a few others that are committed to Duke as well. And then a lot of them are going to Harvard and Stanford.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And then the same amount going to Stanford too, I think. Especially if you have U.S., you have the Senate program, you have the Robertson Scholars. So now you have that low cohort of everyone that are actually going to school. But to round out this interview, the Voice Me podcast is our tagline is to empower the leaders of today and tomorrow. So what is some advice that you have for either me, the audience members, or anybody in general who is trying to, achieve what you have and be a leader in what life?
That's a really good question. I think this is such a corny line that literally everyone says all the time, but it is really just to be yourself. And I say that because so many people sell out in college, and that's not who a lot of people are. I don't think anyone was put on earth to do consulting or just to work a really I don't know, very rigid life. I think, you should find your purpose, what you really enjoy doing. Even if you're not making $125 an hour, I don't know. I don't like quant. That's just me though. But so I don't know. I've just noticed that people tend to just go with the flow in college, and that's good. But at the same time, you're just doing what everyone else is doing. But I don't know. I chose Duke for that reason, just because I thought I'd be able to find my place a bit easier without having the pressure to find a big internship or anything like that. But yeah, I think my biggest advice really is just to have the mission to discover what makes you happy instead of making the most money or anything. Obviously that's easy to say now as an 18-year-old.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess just be yourself. People can tell in your applications when you're not. You'll be happier if you are just your genuine self and recognized for the work that you're passionate about doing, not the work you did to get something,
Yes.
So I don't know. That's really basic advice, but I think my other advice would be don't procrastinate, but also procrastination can be kind of helpful because it gives you an adrenaline rush to finish something. So that's my other piece of advice. Try not to procrastinate, but if you do, it can help you too.
Happens to the best of us, definitely. That's one thing I've been, fighting against, especially, with college apps opening today.
Yes.
Everything is open today. Ironically, Coke also opened today too. So now that's just the season. But, that's one thing I've been, scared about, the money that I'll make in the future versus what I intend to do. Is that was something me and my friend were texting last night. And I was freaking out. I was should I really do public health? But I'm passionate about health equity and leadership and business and all that. But I'm trying to also have a settled life too at the very end. But like you said, it is what passion. If you are passionate about something, if you're truly passionate, then you can do the best in that situation, and you will come out without truly passionate. But once again, Faith, thank you so much for joining the Voice Me podcast for an episode today. It really means a lot to me that when you spread your words of wisdom. So once again, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. You're a legend in the Coke community.
Definitely, definitely. None of this would be happening without y'all. Y'all are like probably everyone's been super chill. I haven't had a single like bad interaction yet, and I'm super duper grateful for all of that and all of you for taking a shot on me. So, it like I can't say it enough. It truly does mean a lot. So thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much.
Definitely, definitely. And to the viewers at home, thank you so much for watching for the video. And remember to stream our episodes wherever you stream your music or podcast episodes. Whether it's Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music. And remember to follow the Voice Street Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, I'm your host, Jesh Vana. Thank you so much, Faith, for joining for today's episode. Please see you on next episode.